Pull back the eyelids and examine the pupils of the eyes. All freshly killed birds have full, bright eyes and moist, soft, limber feet. If stale, the eyes become dry and sunken, and the feet and legs stiff. When too stale for use, parts or all of the body darken, sometimes turning green. Hey there, thanks for joining me at Headlines and Voices. This is the show where we take amazing newspaper articles from publications throughout United States history. Some incredible stuff. I find these things absolutely fascinating, reading what people were thinking about and experiences that they had over a century ago. And I mean, some of these articles go back 150. Matter of fact, there are some of these articles that we're going to be reading in the future that just come straight out of the Civil War that are just absolutely fascinating. And today's article is pretty awesome. It talks a little bit about Christmas. And right now, it is Christmas of 2020, and Christmas is coming up in just a few days as we record this. And we found some article that's kind of fun. I've read through some of this article, and it was kind of a fun thing to take a look at, and I think you're going to enjoy this. Before we get going, I just want to remind you that Headlines and Voices is sponsored by Audio Mover. Audio Mover is the company that takes your old audio and videotapes and turns them into digital, creating a permanent archive, basically preserving your history. And Audio Mover's been in business for about 20 years, moved hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tapes through the studio and helped people all across the country. So go to audiomover.com and you can get your order started there. And in checkout, if you type in the word headlines, you can get 15% off your order. So anyway, that's audiomover.com. And of course, if you like history, you like hearing things like this, articles, and if you enjoy this kind of thing, of course, like the video, share it, follow our channel, and of course, if you have any comments, which there's no doubt many of you will have comments after hearing some of these articles, please leave your comments below. We'd love to read them. So this one's great. I think you're going to like this. So this is from the San Francisco Call, January 5th, 1913. And the article is called How to Choose Your Holiday Poultry. It's kind of interesting that they released this a few weeks after the holidays, but still, that's what the article is called, How to Choose Your Holiday Poultry. And it makes direct reference to Christmas. So I thought this would be a fun thing to read right now. Okay, so here we go. How to Choose Your Holiday Poultry by Anna Bird Stewart. And there's some illustrations and photographs in here that are pretty fun. But and when you hear, they make reference to what these illustrations are just in the dialogue. At least a couple of things that I saw. So you're gonna like this. Here we go. The turkey is the bird for the holiday season, as typical of it as the eagle is of the 4th of July. In the old country, the roast goose has always been the Christmas dish, for the turkey is pure American. When we sit down, therefore, to our Christmas dinner, we may excuse our appetites on the score of patriotism. Turkey patriotism in these days, however, is apt to be an expensive virtue. Some of us may have to make believe with a fat chicken. Isn't that interesting that turkey was super expensive, and so you would have to get a chicken? Well, I don't think that would even be an issue today. So anyway, just thought that's really fascinating. Others may wish to prove devotion to historical tradition by roasting a goose. Or we may even show originality and a disregard for the convenience of the carver by selecting a duck. But the chances are that our choice for Christmas dinner will fall on turkey. Having decided, the next thing to do is to select our bird. We are paying well for it, so we want the very best obtainable. What are the rules by which to judge? How can the young or inexperienced buyer, without relying solely upon the word of the dealer, know young and fresh poultry from the old or long killed? There's less likelihood of cold storage turkey being sold than perhaps any other variety of poultry. Boy, that's not the same today, is it? Frozen turkeys are what everything's about. So I love this. The old-fashioned plan of raising turkeys under the natural conditions has been superseded by the advanced methods of modern science, worked out with the aim of ensuring a more even market for the product. As a rule, turkeys are marketed practically full-grown, not young like spring chickens. They are seldom kept over, nor is the market often overstocked. If one wishes a turkey out of season, then a storage bird is better than one freshly killed. The quality of the meat of a live turkey begins to deteriorate about March, while if the frozen product has been properly fed, slaughtered, bled, packed, and stored, there is no appreciable loss of tenderness or flavor within 6 months. In some markets, it is possible to buy all kinds of fowl alive. This guarantees the age and freshness of the meat. But remember that after the birds have been killed, they should be hung in a cool, drafty place for from 24 to 48 hours as the flavor improves. If used at once, the taste is unsavory and the meat is invariably tough. People who live in small towns or who have a backyard where they can keep poultry cooped up and fed on cereal grain for a few days before killing will be assured of delicate, tender, and sweet-savored flesh. The kind of feed absolutely determines the character of the meat. The cleaner the diet, the more delicate the flavor of the meat will be. Milk-fed poultry is the most popular. This means that the fowls are given milk to drink instead of water and are fed with a mash of cornmeal mixed with milk. The color of the corn determines the color of the skin. Yellow cornmeal making yellow skin and white corn making white skin. Many consider that a yellow skin denotes a richer meat. In choosing a poultry, pull back the eyelids and examine the pupils of the eyes. All freshly killed birds have full, bright eyes and moist, soft, limber feet. If stale, the eyes become dry and sunken and the feet and legs stiff. When too stale for use, parts or all of the body darken, sometimes turning green. Incomplete removal of blood shows in red dots over the thighs and wings, in small veins in the wings and breasts, and in large veins in the neck. This blood, as well as clots formed by bruises, should be removed by soaking in cold salt water, but, if possible, buy poultry that has been properly bled at the start. It tastes better. The neck is the first place to discolor, becoming red, purple, and at last green as age progresses. A bluish or greenish look around the veins indicates decay. Bluish or shiny skin is another sign of danger. If there is any doubt about a fowl already bought, pour hot water on the inside after drawing. If a disagreeable odor results, do not use the fowl under any consideration. Having made sure by bright eyes, supple feet, and clear skin that the bird is freshly killed, the next thing to find out is its age. A young fowl has pin feathers and I saw this word earlier and I'm going to struggle with it. A cartilaginous end to the breastbone. In other words, it sounds like the breastbone has cartilage there. The latter should bend easily from side to side and feel like the gristle of the ear. An old fowl has long hairs and a hard breastbone. The legs of young turkeys are smooth and dark. Other kinds of poultry are better with light-colored legs. Old turkeys and chickens have legs with scales and are thick and rough. The head of a pin can be pressed easily into the breast skin of a young turkey, goose, duck, chicken, or other fowl. If tender, pressure of the finger under the breastbone or wing will break the skin, and the joints will yield readily when the wing is turned back. Young poultry, in the best condition, will have a thin, tender skin, a fat breast, and a thick body. In general, these are the rules that fit the selection of all kinds of poultry. There are, however, certain useful suggestions applying to the choice of particular kinds of fowls. In choosing a turkey for a small family, get a young hen if possible, for it will be plumper and generally fatter than a cock of the same age. A young gobbler is a better selection if a larger bird is desired. An old turkey is suitable only for boiling and boning. A very large turkey, even though young, is more apt to be tough than one of medium size. Press across the breast of a turkey to see if the wishbone is pliable, and make sure of a soft, gristly bone where the breast joins the stomach. Frequently, the breastbone of a turkey is out of shape due to roosting on a narrow perch. If extremely crooked, the quantity of flesh on one side of the breast will be lessened, but there will be no injury in quality. This is amazing. Things that we do not, at least I've never had to think of in my life. Maybe there are people alive today that have to go through this, but this is so fascinating, the kind of thing that people had to think about. Get a straight breastbone if possible in order to obtain the greatest amount of white meat. The bird is old if the breastbone is hard and covered with tough-looking, thick, soft, fat skin, or if the flesh is purplish where it shows on the legs and back under the skin. The spring chicken or broiler is distinguished from the full-grown hen or fowl, as the dealers term it. Just as a young turkey is judged, young chickens have tender skin, light, fresh-colored bills, smooth red combs, and smooth feet. The spurs of a cockerel are soft, short, and loose. When old, they become firm and fixed. At the age of a year, a chicken's breastbone hardens and the bird passes out of the broiler class. A broiler should weigh from 1 to 1.5 pounds. A fowl or pullet for roasting should, of course, be larger and should have plump, fat, white flesh that will mash on the breast under the finger. A rooster is good only for soup. Never take a coarse, long-legged, thin-breasted chicken because it is heavier. There will be more breast meat and less bone in the plump. Sorry, I'm going to read that again. There will be more breast meat and less bone in the plump, full-breasted partridge-shaped fowl, which will also be juicy, fine-grained, and of good flavor. Barred Plymouth Rocks and Brahmas make especially fine roasting chickens, and these varieties are much used for the best capons, C-A-P-O-N-S. I don't know what that is. If you know what that is, put in the comments below. There is nothing better in poultry than the capon. The body is larger, fatter, and plumper than that of the common fowl. The head is small for the size of the body. We're learning what a capon is now. The comb pale, short, and withered. And the neck feathers unusually long, a thick vein on each side of the breast may usually be seen running into a hard, fat stomach. If very young, the legs will be smooth and the spurs short, thick, and soft. The capon commands, and then we have to jump to page 15 in this newspaper to continue. So I'm going to go ahead and get there real quick. Page 15. I think this is so interesting, the kind of things that people had to deal with. And this is just over 100 years ago. So there's just a little bit more to this article. How to choose your holiday poultry. So the Capon commands the highest price because it combines the tenderness of spring chicken with the full-flavored, juicy meat of maturity. In selecting a goose, get one that is fresh and fat. For the fatter the goose, the more tender and juicy it will be when cooked. They are marketed at the age of 6 months to 1 year, the best age being about 10 months. If older than a year, the meat will be tough. The yellow legs and bill of the young goose grow red as the bird grows older. Try the skin with a pinhead and bend the breastbone, as in all poultry. Okay, they're just giving you some more directions with your goose. Pressure on the windpipe should cause it to snap or mash like a big straw. The domestic duck is chosen by the same general signs as all poultry and the same special signs as the goose. Long Island ducks, which are grown very quickly, reach the marketable age in 10 weeks. These are the fine summer ducks, but in winter, one should select the slowly matured duck. The Pekin duck, as a slow-grown bird, is plentiful at this season. At 10 months, which is the best age, they weigh from 7 to 8 pounds. Pigeons are the only other domestic bird in general use. Old pigeons have thin legs and dark breasts. Young ones, or squabs, have light red flesh on the breast and full, fresh-colored legs. All poultry keeps better dry-picked than when scaled. The best plan is to have the bird drawn as soon as slaughtered, but present market conditions prevent this. An undrawn fowl keeps better for market purposes than one that is drawn, but there is a corresponding loss of delicacy of flavor. When thawed, a bird that has been well prepared and frozen for a reasonable period of time will have skin of a clear, fresh color, of soft texture, slipping easily from the muscles underneath. The flesh and fat will be slightly deeper in color than if fresh. In buying storage poultry, have it delivered, if possible, hard frozen. Place in the ice box for a day or so, where it will thaw gradually. Now that's something that actually sounds familiar. I think that's one of the first things that sounds familiar to me. After the turkey or other fowl is bought and delivered, the first thing to do is to singe it by holding the body by the head and feet and exposing every part to a flame. A piece of blazing newspaper will do. Remove the head, saving the neck for the giblet sauce. Split the skin on the leg joint carefully to expose the sinews without cutting them. Run a skewer or fork under the tendons and draw out one at a time. This makes the first joint as tender as the second. Then, cut the feet from the first joint. Keep immersed in a vessel of cold water by means of a weight for 1 hour. Remove and rub plentifully with salt. Lay on an inclined board to drain for a half hour. This soaking and salting removes all impurities from the skin. Place in a pan, pouring on water as hot as the hand can bear. Scrape with a knife to remove pin feathers, which can be loosened with a little boiling water if too tight. To draw, make an incision about 2 inches below the vent large enough to insert the fingers. Remove the entrails, being careful not to break the gallbladder, which is attached to the liver. Cut loose the liver, heart, and gizzard, which can be cleaned by splitting, then place in salt water. Remove the lights and the oil sac on the back at the root of the tail. Remove the lights and the oil sac on the back at the root of the tail. No idea what that means. If you know, put something in the comments. The windpipe and crop are easily removed through the opening at the neck. Rinse thoroughly in cold water. Dry with a clean cloth and rub inside with salt. Then stuff and cook according to your favorite recipe. Wow. That's super interesting. All this stuff. And you imagine back then, this would have been, once again, the early 20th century, 1913 at the time. Sounds like they were buying these birds as birds. And, you know, today, when you think about how we have them prepared, and when we go to the store, they've already been cleaned and they're frozen and just ready to go. All these things that they had to go through. And probably some people in the United States still go through this type of work during the season. But I think precious few of us have to do that anymore. Anyway, hope you enjoy that kind of thing, hearing these. I love hearing this old stuff and how people used to have to do things. And this was just a century ago. So anyway, if you like that, please click the like button. Follow our channel if you enjoy history, if you enjoy American history like this. And of course, if you have any comments, we'd love to hear them. There's probably things that all of us can relate to in here or find interesting. And so please leave a comment below in the comments. And thanks for taking the time to listen. Headlines and Voices is sponsored by Audio Mover, the company that takes your history, your old audio and videotapes, and converts them into digital. Visit audiomover.com to learn more. Headlines and Voices is a production of Thick and Mystic Media. Visit thickandmystic.com.